In today's free video, I'm going to take you through the steps to make this decorative saw blade. You'll need two species of wood, one darker species for the handle and a lighter species for the blade. The actual pattern is quite easy to cut. The only challenge might be the eagle, but if you take your time, you shouldn't have any problems. You can download this pattern from www.scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com. For this project, these are the supplies that you will need. All-purpose spray adhesive, one piece of light color wood, 20 inches by 4 inches wide, two darker pieces of wood, 5 1/4 inches by 4 inches wide, one dowel rod, approximately 1/4 inch, scissors, box tape, and the free Scrollsaw pattern off the website. The first thing we need to do is to cut down the pattern to size so we can place it on our wood. Here I have the pattern cut to size, and I've taken the saw blade and joined the pattern together to make one 20-inch long blade pattern. The next step is to apply the pattern to the wood. To do this, we use the all-purpose spray adhesive, shake it well, and apply the spray to the back of each piece of the pattern. I usually let the glue dry just for a few seconds so the bond isn't quite as permanent. At that point, we can apply the pattern to the wood. In the next step, I apply box tape over the pattern. The box tape helps to lubricate the Scrollsaw blade, cutting down on burning of the wood, and it also makes it a little easier to cut. This piece is now ready to take to the drill press, and I'll complete the same process on the other three parts. I have gathered all the pieces at the drill press, and I'm going to drill holes in all the interiors and one hole in the exterior of every piece as pilot holes for the blade. The pilot holes have now all been drilled, and we're ready to go to the Scrollsaw. I've gathered all the pieces at the Scrollsaw, and I have threaded a Flying Dutchman number 5 reverse tooth 13 teeth per inch blade. The first step on each of the pieces is to cut all the interiors. That's what we'll do now. I'm going to thread the blade up through the pilot hole and set the tension for the blade. I'm using a foot switch to control the on-off. Okay, now we'll begin to cut. pattern is cut, and we're just going to repeat the same process with the remaining pieces. Okay, I've finished cutting all the pieces, and a couple things I want to tell you about the blade itself. Probably the only challenge in this piece at all is the eagle. Just take your time. As I was cutting the feathers, in some cases I would back out and come back in from the other direction. Just be careful not to break those off while you're cutting. Same thing with the stars. To keep the point straight, I would cut in, back out, come in from the other angle, and cut again. Did the same thing with the teeth on the blade. I cut a straight line along the length of the blade. Then after I cut the complete perimeter out, I went back and made slicing cuts in and out to keep the blade's teeth nice and sharp. I did leave the pattern on the one handle piece because we're going to drill holes in this one after we get it glued up. I'm going to go ahead and set my drill entry point right here, and after we put this piece together and get it glued up and let it dry, we'll go through and drill these holes out and insert this dowel rod to give it the appearance of some rivets holding the handle onto the blade. At this point, I have glued both sides of the handle to the blade and have clamped them in place, and we're going to let it dry for a little bit. We'll go back in and sand the perimeter of the handle, drill the rivet holes, insert the dowel rod, sand it flush, do a little sanding, and apply finish, and we'll be done. Okay, I've given the glue some time to dry on the handle now. The next step is to drill the pilot holes for the dowel that will make the rivets. I've drilled completely through the handles, came out the other side. Next step will be to add the rivets. I've cut 3 dowel pieces, slightly oversized from the total width of the handle of the blade. What I'm going to do is drive these pieces through the handle, and then we'll sand them flush. We have our dowels driven completely through the handle. Now we can go back and sand these flush, trim off this side, sand these flush, and we'll be ready to do a little finish sanding. Okay, I've finished my detail sanding on this piece, and the next step is to apply a finish. And in this case, I'm going to use a simple lemon oil finish just to bring out the luster of the wood.